up, y'all? Second video for the day. Kind of still in the same spot. I actually decided to look into something I probably should have did a long time ago. This kind of like, all right. So for content creators on the actual YouTube studio, there's basically a section that will kind of give you hints of like what might get some kind of like action going on your channel, like inspirational type of videos, stuff like that. And I actually looked, and it was kind of hard for me to even pick. Well, I didn't go through it too much. I wanted to see what would probably stick out to me, and the only thing I could really think of that YouTube was kind of like mentioning was something about video games and how video gaming affects people. Now that's something I have good experience with, because from a young age, even to up now, that is something I still like to do. I would still consider it a hobby, even though it has drastically stopped. Compared to how I used to do it. I used to damn near do it multiple times a day, multiple hours a day, and somehow I don't have the ability to do that. It's not somehow, I know why, but and even when I do have the time to do it, it's like, I prefer to do other things. So that want to play games is not there so much, and there's a couple different reasons why I would think that is the case, but I kind of want to bring up how I think this affected me, because right now how hard things is in life, I feel like I just want to get done with what I have to do for the day, and then once I'm done with all of that, it's like I kind of want to get myself into a relaxation state to kind of like prepare myself for the next day. That's kind of, and it's been this cycle, but doing that, it seems like, I don't know, somehow sometimes you wake up feeling charged and ready for the day, and I believe there's an aspect of that when you do things that you love, you know what I'm saying? And when I take away gaming and stuff, I'm just questioning my lack of gaming, if that's like making me, you know what I'm saying, not being fully 100% X, so we're about to look at a video of like how years of gaming affects your brain. Okay, I thought it was going to say health, but of course, the brain deals with health, so should be quite interesting. This is kind of a different turn from what we normally do, so it should be interesting on the channel. All right, so don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate it if y'all do. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time, and let's dive in, y'all. See what's going on here. This is from somebody named Healthy Gamer GG. I've seen his videos in the past. Seems like a cool dude. Maybe subscribe to him if you want to see some other topics like this, I guess. All right.
Talk about what years or even decades of gaming does to your brain.
You could literally say I have decades of gaming, for sure.
If you're a gamer, chances are you're kind of living life on hard mode, right? Other people are able to do things like have fun activities like playing football or soccer or basketball. They're able to socialize a little bit more easily. They're able to focus on academics and derive like reward and pleasure. But if you're a gamer, you're kind of like, you don't want to do that stuff, right? You'd rather just stay at home and like play video games, and that's kind of fun. And it sort of feels like life is passing you by.
Wait a second. This dude, how he started it, you're playing, for the gamer type of person, you're playing life on hard mode? Really? I never thought of it like that. Now, how he's saying things, and I know it's probably not exactly what he means, but how he's saying that gaming makes you not want to do any of that other stuff, I think that's different from person to person. Now, granted, for me, those introvert type of people, which I would say I kind of lean more towards introverted stuff than, extroverted. But I'm definitely both. I like to interact with people that I know, and I don't know, do certain activities outside in the sun. I love to do stuff like that. But in the past, I don't know, man. It's kind of interesting, but you can't say that for everybody. You know, that we only want to just be playing the game and stuff. There's a lot to say already about what he said, but I guess we'll figure it out as we go. So let's continue.
Hey y'all, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor.
No, we're not doing it. We're not doing
how
it.
I'm getting from Babbel. And what I love about the app on my phone,
Fuck that.
for
Fuck
Vanish,
it. Fuck it.
highly recommend it. Check out the link in the description. Babbel, it feels like a really bad debuff. And I know that I certainly felt that way even when I was no longer a degenerate gamer. So after I got into med school and even was like training to become a psychiatrist at Harvard, I would look around at my colleagues and I would see them like being able to do lots of stuff. And I could do a lot, but I still spent a lot of time, 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week gaming. And I thought to myself, what could I accomplish if I was no longer a gamer? What could I actually accomplish if I wasn't lazy or if I didn't procrastinate? Because that's what gamers sort of say, right? We sort of think to ourselves like, oh my God, I'm just lazy. And other people are able to find like intrinsic motivation, but I can't find intrinsic motivation. And I lack discipline, and I don't care so much about the
Bullshit. Now, in the younger years, when we are being taken care of by parents or some other family member, depends on family dynamics you got going on. My parents, they made sure I had to do certain things. I had to have certain grades in school. I had to be carrying myself a certain way before I could, fuck around with any of the game and stuff. And that's something that slowly became harder as I got older. You know what I'm saying? When I was younger, of course, you're slowly learning to do other things in the house. But my parents got me a game system. I don't remember when. But I definitely remember the first one was the Super Nintendo. And I got in it. Well, then they got a PlayStation that they kept in their room, but that was my baby. You know what I'm saying? And then I got a Nintendo 64. You know what I'm saying? And then slowly over, times. Yeah. But when I first got those first systems, we didn't have too many chores to worry about. It was until you turn into a teenager where, yeah. So if a parent is letting their child, a person under their care, be lazy and do nothing but play games, I think that stems more from just the games itself. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to lean towards. Because again, it seems like this dude is talking like, just because somebody's biggest hobby is to play games and that makes them lazy, that makes them socially awkward, and that makes them, I don't know, just mainly those two, I guess, and whatever. I don't know, man. But yeah, that's not the case. That is not the case. So let's continue.
And so you sort of look at yourself and you wish that you were different. And so the cool thing is that there are actually ways that you can change that. And the key thing here is that it's actually, you're not lazy. You're not born with a debuff. It's actually that games will affect your brain in ways that we don't really understand. So the first thing we're going to dive into is dopamine and serotonin. And we have to have a more sophisticated understanding of these neurotransmitters.
Before we get into all of that, the first thing I want to say, yes, he's right. Because the reasons why we play certain games, like somebody like me would be interested in the RPG game. Legend of Dragoon, baby. That is my favorite game still to this day. And I got that game when I was like 7, 8 years old. When I first got that shit, I was like, chef's kiss. But there might be the other type of person that might like playing platformers and stuff. And then the other one that likes racing games only. I remember living in New York, there was 2 older women. They weren't old, but they was like young adult age, right? No, I'm not going to say the names. But their father was deaf. He couldn't hear, but then slowly over time he couldn't talk. But one of his favorite things to do was play Gran Turismo. I don't remember which one it was, but on the PlayStation. and he played that so damn well and stuff. But you know what? I just kind of forgot where the hell I was gonna go with this, to be honest. You know what I mean? I totally forgot. No, I remember. All right, so the reasons why people play whatever game that they like is because of what they get from it. Now, yes, it could be the dopamine and the serotonin that's causing you to like what you like in the certain kind of way that you like it, right? But that varies from person to person, okay? It varies from person to person. So this part is going to be interesting, and this is the part where we should listen the most.
Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that governs reward, pleasure, and behavioral reinforcement. The key thing about dopamine is it tends to be triggered by things that are external. So if I use a drug, for example, that is something that I'm ingesting. It comes from the outside, and it triggers this dopamine release. Video games will trigger dopamine release.
Or dopamine. The dope is mine.
And basically anything external that is fun or pleasurable will trigger a dopamine release, and anything that's fun or pleasurable will also reinforce that behavior. So when we play a video game and we have fun, it triggers a dopamine release, which is why we're having fun, and then we reinforce the behavior, so we want to play again. Serotonin is a little bit different. What serotonin really governs is an internal sense of well-being and gives us things like confidence. So if we look at gamers, we engage in activities that give us lots of dopamine, but don't actually give us much or any serotonin at all. And so that's what creates this sort of picture of like, okay, I'm capable of having fun, but I don't feel good. I don't feel good in my own skin. I don't feel confident. I can't step away from the game. And so this balance.
I see. Now, when he puts it like that, that's quite interesting, you know, because I want to stop it right here because one type of game is standing out to me that I like. Let me see. For the past 5 years or before 5 years ago, I didn't really know too much about it, and that's crafting games. Yes, Minecraft. I probably got onto Minecraft. No, I got onto Minecraft the same year that I started truck driving. So almost 8 years ago. Before Minecraft, I didn't know anything about crafting games. And even Minecraft, I wasn't, Minecraft, blocks. And you put these blocks on certain things in here, and you can make this and that. That's pretty cool. But the crafting games that they have nowadays that takes mind work, and then you can build all these crazy contraptions, I feel that would play some kind of part in serotonin too. Like, nigga, I did that. I built that. You know what I'm saying? That'll make you feel good inside. I don't think that would be more of a necessarily like a dopamine thing, but yeah, I just wanted to say that because like that's quite interesting, man. This video is going to be quite interesting, just off the fact of how we're diving into the sciencey shit. Now, again, right before I stopped it, I was like, man, dude, y'all are looking too much into this shit. Dude, just play the goddamn game, get it out your system. Do what you're supposed to do, but just know you gotta, allocate some things to your time for the remainder time that you have for the day. Balance it out. Don't stay on the game all fucking day. That's bad. It's not only bad for life, it's bad for your health. Sitting down all goddamn day? No. Change it up.
Imbalance of dopamine and serotonin is responsible for why gamers sort of feel stuck to the screen and can't go out and sort of move in the real world. Because moving in the real world requires you to be confident about yourself. But if you're a gamer, chances are when you leave the safety of your computer or your console and these four walls, you're filled with uncertainty and a lack of confidence.
Yeah, that could probably be the truth right there. I'm still working on confidence. I definitely am. But I didn't have the level of confidence, nowhere even close, when I was like a young boy, teenager. That is something that slowly took time to bloom out of me. And the reason why that happened is because I started seeing that certain changes that I made in my life was making me feel good as a person. It definitely wasn't, games do make you feel good inside. Like what is one game that I could really say that made me feel good inside? Just because I'm taking a long time to answer that, don't think too crazy about it. But I'm trying to think in terms of maybe even a game that I beat, which hasn't been many. Because at a certain point, I was starting able to buy my own games, and I bought too fucking many. Okay, so that's really the reason why I probably should not look at it from a point of like what game did I beat. But some games that make me feel good. Zombie Andreas. That is totally, what the fuck am I talking about? That is totally a game that crushes my soul. It does. But getting past that whole first campaign with Mike, if you know, you know. If you don't know, those are by far my best videos, y'all. But you need to watch episode 1 all the way into the end to know what the fuck your boy went through. Okay? And then you would understand what the fuck I'm saying. So me getting through that, I have the right to say the fuck I went through. And it made me feel good as a person to finally be one of the first people that completed a whole walkthrough. I haven't looked recently, but I have yet to see anybody do a whole full playthrough of Zombie Andreas, okay? I have yet to see that. The only place you're gonna see it is on my channel, so shout out to me, okay? But yeah, I've done held us up long enough. Let's continue.
You kind of retreat from that, right? Because that's painful and it's difficult and it's confusing. And you kind of come back and then you kind of think to yourself, oh my God, like, why am I so lazy? Why am I so pathetic? And you start to think all of these things. The weird thing about gamers is that they develop a dopaminergic dependence along with a serotonergic aversion. And what do I mean by that? So let's take a step back and understand how these two neurotransmitters normal.
Wait a second, is he going to tell us that we're kind of addicted to the thing that gives us dopamine, but the things that will actually build us up as a person on the inside, we get kind of allergic to that? I wonder if that's where he's going to go. Because, yeah, I kind of stopped from talking because I felt like I'm holding up this video a little too much. But there's a lot to say. There's a lot to say. One thing I guess I kind of forgot to mention was, yeah, I think gaming, as much as I did, it kind of prevented me from developing certain confidence type things within inside myself. But thankfully, I was kind of somewhat of a popular kid until I moved down to fucking Florida, where I was at that point after going through a lot up in the previous place where I lived. Okay, I'm kind of okay. I ain't got too much things to worry about. I'm in a whole nother state, and I can kind of start fresh. Stuff like that. I'm trying to go a little too deep right now. But your boy had a lot of friends to be able to balance things out. You know what I'm saying? And then when I finally moved down to Florida, it took me some time to actually get a actual clique of friends that I was cool with or I could trust. Because I'm a certain type of person. I don't just let anybody in. I'm gonna put it just how one of my mom's good friends put it, that how I was. My mom was talking to one of her good friends one day, and she was like, I like your son because he's the one who chooses his friends. They don't choose him. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's totally your boy. Right? I don't know if y'all get it the same way I got it, my mom got it, and the woman who said it got it. But that means something, Yeah. So yeah, but I'm just seeing this whole thing right here with gaming. Yeah, you're probably talking about the people who have a severe addiction to the shit. Like that's all they want to do. My son is not even like that. I like when my son likes to play games. He's like, Dad, can I jump on the computer or something? Or can I play the Switch? And I tell him yes. And I love to see him do it. And he he spends some time on it. I gotta let him do that because I went through that too. But he gets up himself to go do some other shit, I even got to tell him. Maybe once in a while I got to tell him. It depends on the day or whatever we're doing. But I very seldom have to tell him. Some people, they develop some kind of, I guess, abnormal connection with the game to shut off other things that they probably, have going on in their life. This might get a little dark. Just stop it right here. But maybe.
Function with like a regular human being. So when I was like trying to become less degenerate, I started going whitewater rafting a lot, and I loved it.
Oh,
so
dude,
here's sort of the sequence of whitewater rafting. When you first go rafting, it's really, really challenging, but it's full of like adrenaline, right? Because you're like paddling really hard. It's really rocky. You're like flipping around, and it's like you're getting wet, and it's cold, and it's like really awesome adrenaline kind of experience. And you're kind of fighting for your life. So it's highly dopaminergic. But the key thing is that after you're done whitewater rafting, the next day you're completely destroyed. Every muscle in your body is sore. You're kind of like, you can't do a whole lot, but you feel amazing. Even though technically your body is in pain, you sort of bask in the feeling of like, I faced the river.
Yeah. Yes. That feeling he's talking about right there, I love that feeling. When you're doing some actual workouts or something, or you do something like, just right now, I wish I could show y'all, but your boy is carrying like 40,000 pounds. I think over 40,000 pounds of fucking cutout wood. And the place where I want to go, let's not get too off topic right now. In order for me to secure 40,000 pounds of fucking wood, that if you don't do it properly, one of those things falls off the trailer, you just created a fucking Final Destination type of scene. It takes a lot of strength in every muscle fiber in your body to secure that shit down. You know what I'm saying? And after you drive a little bit, getting closer to the destination where this shit's supposed to go, you gotta retighten and secure it again. You know what I'm saying? So it's, oh man, I love this job. Fucking damn, I wish I got into this shit a long time ago. But I'm still in that stage where like, alright, it's time to secure this shit. And then when I'm done, I'm like, fuck. Then the next day, I'm like, oh, it hurts, but it feels good. I'm still at that stage, but it's slowly going away because your boy, I don't know. I feel like I'm in shape, but at the same time, I don't physically try to like work out as much. I do have some dumbbells in the back. Not dumbbells, but like some kind of bar with some actual weights that you can put on the side. I have one of those. I had every intention of using that, just like I did with working with another company. But doing a flatbed and then doing that, I'm not trying to be the Incredible Hulk. You know what I'm saying? So.
And I survived and I conquered it, and you feel really, really good about yourself. It's
Hell
not
yeah, baby.
Pleasure the next day. You're not getting like activated. You're not laughing or anything like
it's
that.
Pleasure.
But you
it's
get this sense
pleasure.
of like,
fuck all of that. Fuck all of that. Again, this is why it varies from person to person. Because I don't know what it is about me. I feel scared to I feel somewhat embarrassed to even say this. But there's something about pain. You know what I'm saying? There's something about it. Something about it, y'all. It just makes me feel like sexual.
well-being and contentment and sort of like this other kind of triumph. And we sort of look at other parts of life, if you look at sort of like studying for a test or an exam, you study really hard, it's really painful, and originally you get like this reward of hopefully getting an A or a good grade, but then there's this period afterward, maybe when you graduate, that you sort of bask in this accomplishment.
And I thought it was going to say bask in the sun. Like, what the hell? I don't remember passing the test and just, all right, the teacher's like, it's time for your ass to get out in the sun, just bask in it. I'm sorry.
in that accomplishment is what causes serotonin to increase. And so if we look at gamers, they don't get to do that, right? Because I still remember when I was like climbing the Warcraft 3 ladder and I made it to spot 83. It was the highest. I was number 83 on the ladder in the United States. And I can't bask in that accomplishment. Like I can't go to people and like,
yeah, yes, yeah, right. That is definitely a thing right there. That is definitely a thing. That's like when, you know, with all this Call of Duty shit, you know, that's why I don't really, you know, I don't know, man. This shit is like all over the place. I feel so many different ways. I like Call of Duty originally for the multiplayer. But slowly over time, they kept coming out with the same shit over and over. It's changing little things up here and there. But it's like you're not, for one, if anybody plays Call of Duty or any game for that matter just to be the number one player, I think that's a different type of thing, for one. That's a super competitive thing. Thankfully in this world, in this day and time, we do have events, programs for stuff like that. We can actually go up against you know, the craziest people, craziest, hardest players in that particular game and try to win some decent amount of money. That is cool. But the amount of time it takes to get to that point and the level of skill, most of us ain't getting anywhere close to that. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, this is again why it falls down from person to person. Like the reasons why you play what you play. Like, does it really, you know what I'm saying? It's a question that we all have to ask ourselves. And it kind of gets a little finicky, even for myself. I'm like, why do I play the shit that I play? Nowadays, I play what I play to do some kind of video. That's why I don't really play anything on my alone time as much anymore. You know, like if I wasn't doing this video right now, there was a slight chance that I was going to go ahead and play Noita. I did a video on Noita. That game is super fun. All right, I love that fucking game. But, you know, like, I don't know. Y'all know how Noita is. It's a random generated map. Try to make it to the bottom. I probably never got past like the second or third stage where when it starts getting cold and freezing, that ice biome area, I start getting, dude, it's terrible. It's so bad. There's like these machine turrets that come out of anywhere, nowhere, and these like these freeze guys and these guys that blow boogers and shit, man. It's fucking madness. I can't wait to fucking play it though. Something about it. Something about it.
no one's going to have like a graduation party of congrats, Dr. K, you made it to the top 100 of the ladder. Like each of those games felt really good, but I don't actually feel good about myself afterwards. So what we see in gamers is that they have a dopaminergic dependence, i.e. you have to do things that are dopaminergic because you're easily bored, right? And things are hard. And then those activities that are actually serotonergic are things that you are aversive to. So serotonergic activities are things that can be challenging, but lead to a sense of contentment, not necessarily pleasure. So these are things that require a little bit more investment, can be difficult, and don't necessarily have a really good reward at the end. It's not like you get a huge prize or a rush of dopamine. You just sort of feel good about yourself. And if you're a gamer, chances are there are things that you could do that would help you feel good about yourself. You think to yourself, well, if I did this, I'd feel better about myself. But anytime you try to actually go and do those things, it's really, really hard. And that's where that serotonergic aversion actually comes in, because we're actually averse to doing those kinds of activities. And so if you're a gamer, in order to overcome that serotonergic aversion, we need to start engaging in serotonergic activities. So these are activities that are not pleasurable, can be somewhat difficult, but help you feel good about yourself or accomplished when you're done. Now, this is what's really tricky, is finding the right balance of this, because frequently these activities are like really, really hard to do. So you can't like go out and like go to a party or go hiking with a group of people or things like that. So when I was working with one particular gamer, we came up with a really good idea, which is this person was interested in free diving. They wanted to like dive without scuba gear. And so we kind of came up with a 5-minute or 10-minute stretch of walking where they would hold their breath as long as they could, not passing out or anything like that, so don't do anything dangerous. But they would start by holding their breath while walking. That's the only thing they did. So on the first day, they could hold their breath for 30 seconds. And then on the next day, they can hold their breath for 40 seconds and 50 seconds. And over the course of like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, all they had to do was go for a 5-minute walk, a 10-minute walk. And you can do that. And they were holding their breath. And over time, they could hold their breath for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. They would go for half-hour walks, hour-long walks where they're holding their breath for 8 minutes, 9 minutes at a time. Right, so they're taking 10, 15, 20 breaths where they're holding it. And so this is a great...
I have experienced that too before. I have. Now, this is something I think I've done when I lived in a neighborhood that had a pool. I would frequently test myself how long I could hold my breath. And of course, just like it says, over time you could slowly build up your tongue out, you know? Can build up how long you can stay in the water or hold your breath for. Now, one thing I found out for me is that moving around makes that time go up even more. If you're staying put, it's not as easy for me, and that might change from person to person. Maybe it might be the opposite. You know what I'm saying? So, very interesting, of course. This is kind of a lightweight. I know this is kind of a light segue into what he's about to get deeper into, this whole thought of wanting to eventually free dive without any equipment, but to prepare yourself for that, you're doing it in a very easier environment. You know what I'm saying? So let's see where this goes.
That is like kind of hard. It's not something that you can really brag about, but as you make progress, you will feel good about yourself. So try to find something that is challenging to do, kind of accessible to do. You don't want to like tack on too much, but isn't actually fun, but makes you feel good about yourself. So you can do something as simple as go for a walk and hold your breath. The second problem we're going to deal with is how gaming interacts with your negative emotions. When we play video games, it actually...
Oh my God. Oh my God. How could I forget this part? How could I forget this part? Now, I have a friend that this seems to affect, right? And they like to claim it's certain things that happened in the past, but everybody knows that specific type of person, and I'm not saying the person I know is this specific type of person, but everybody knows that specific type of person that they just get this kind of rage when they lose at something. That is not good. So that is one thing I have made sure to always be on guard when I'm watching my son play something, because like that I cannot have. If that happens, you cannot play any games, period. And I'm glad he's not like that, because, and I have a feeling he's not like that because he sees how I take losses. Now, one of my favorite games, y'all see that Brawlhalla stuff I be posting from time to time. I play that all the time with my kids, like ranked matches. So it's not them playing with me, they're watching me play. And they love to watch me play because I be kicking ass and taking names. And I'm like, Dad, dang, how do you do that, Dad? Dang, Dad. And then every once in a while, I'll get my butt kicked. And it's not like me like, damn it, I should have won. And you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I might exaggerate, but they know deep down inside that their dad is having fun regardless if he loses or not. And I always acknowledge, like, okay, you did it, you got me, you beat me, and I give that other person his props. So that's instilling in them in kind of a way to, if you lose, try harder next time. But don't ever let a game piss you off to the point where you're not happy. You know what I'm saying? That is totally a no-go. So the fact that this happens to some adults, something is wrong there.
Actually suppresses our negative emotional circuitry. So anything that is addictive, one of the reasons it becomes addictive is not just because of dopamine. It's not because of just the pleasure it gives us, but because of what it takes away. So we have this part of the brain called the amygdala, and the amygdala is our survival center of the brain, but it's also the part of our brain that governs our negative emotions. So it makes us feel fear, anxiety, panic, and things like that. So the first thing that's really interesting is that the amygdala becomes hyperreactive when we are in low serotonin states. So the lower our serotonin is, the more hyperactive or jittery our amygdala is. And if we're doing a lot of gaming where we're getting dopamine without serotonin, the first thing we have to understand is it's priming our amygdala to be hypersensitive. So gamers will literally experience fear or anxiety or panic or the sense of dread and uncertainty more rapidly and more intensely than the average person. And this is why in psychiatry, if we have people who have panic attacks, which oftentimes will start in the amygdala, the treatment that we give them is actually serotonergic medications, SSRIs. There's also evidence that people who have been traumatized and are hypervigilant and kind of paranoid, that serotonin can help them in some ways too.
Dude, I don't know how to feel about that. Everybody, again, is different. Everybody, and when I'm saying everybody, I'm talking about like how their body, their internal structure interacts with whatever, including the goddamn medicine this dude is talking about. I just want to put it out there. Listen, your boy, as a kid, into my late teens, was attacked by an invisible thing. I'm not going to say what that thing is, but most of y'all would probably know it, especially if y'all seen some of my videos in the past. But I got through that fear. You know what I'm saying? I got through that. And if that was to happen in whatever kind of way it could, and I'll get to that in a minute of what I mean by that, that fear that I had in the past, it will definitely not even be anywhere close to that. You know what I'm saying? I put what I said, just like I said just a minute ago, because just the other day I had a dream. Now, it took me like probably 5 minutes to figure out what this dream was, what it meant after I woke up. But just the other day, I fell asleep in this truck and I had a dream of just how your boy went through in the past. A spiritual or some kind of creature interacting with me, how it interacted with me in the past. And how this dream like went. It started with something that I have a bad habit with. And that's how I know it was trying to show me something. You know what I'm saying? It started with me trying to grab something that I have a bad habit with. And then the interaction unfolded. So just to cut straight to the chase, that dream was telling me basically that, the hell? Really? Oh, damn. All right. That bad habit that I have a thing with, that could be a spirit or an entity manifesting itself with that, you know what I'm saying? So, kind of lost, man. I just got thrown off by what I just saw. Apparently my power inverter has just turned off. And I can get that. But with the computer, dude, really? You normally would do that with the fan if the truck is off. But with the computer, dude, really? Alright, whatever. Let's continue.
What's really tricky is we have this hyperreactive amygdala. And why do we have a hyperreactive amygdala? It may be because of serotonin, but there's another layer at play here. So if I'm going through life and I'm feeling fear, if I'm feeling anxious, if I'm feeling dread about the future, my brain wants to make those things go away. And in the past, we would have to make those things go away by fixing a problem, right? So if I'm like feeling lonely and I existed as a human being 5,000 years ago, I couldn't magically make that loneliness go away. I would have to engage with other people to sort of like no longer feel lonely. Now the problem is with video games, we can make that emotion of loneliness go away. We can make our anxiety go away. We can make our fear go away. And you may say to yourself,
that's a little bit weird though, because I'm not going to say that I ever played a game to make loneliness go away. At all. I don't think so. Yeah, because I'm not playing a game to socialize or anything. I do play some games to socialize or that I can socialize in, but the fact that there's people. Yeah, one of the first things I wanted to say at the beginning of this video was that yes, people want to put themselves inside a virtual world because the real world is it's hell. It's fucking hell, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And somebody's hell could be like hell times 1,000 compared to your hell. You know what I'm saying? Which is times 50. I don't know. But yeah, so to put yourself into a virtual world and then you feel, things go way more better than it would go out in the real world. I can get that. I can totally get that. And again, that is something that I never experienced myself. I know that I'm playing a game, I'm taking time out my own life from my own choosing to play a game that I want to. And bam, when I'm done, I'm done. I might get a little bit further in the game. I might have a lot more experience points to whoop ass and take names a whole lot better than I did before I picked this shit up today. You know what I'm saying? But see where this goes.
Dr. K, like, that can sort of be a good thing, right? There's one crucial thing that happens when we shut off our negative emotional circuitry, which is that we stop learning. So if you're a gamer, chances are you're going through life with an XP penalty. So if you look around at the people in your general vicinity, right? They seem to be making progress in life. People finish college, they get jobs, they get married, they have kids, they get promoted, they go on vacation. And for a lot of gamers, we kind of get stuck, right? We're sort of like in our 20s, we're not quite making as much progress, or we're making some progress, but everything feels harder. Progressing through life feels really difficult.
Well, that again is if you're stuck, if you're at 20 and all you do is play games, that is an effing problem. That is an effing problem. And again, it goes back to whoever is taking care of this person. Parents, grandparents, cousins, other family members, friends. They should not allow a 20-year-old or even I want to say even an 18-year-old, but an 18-year-old, they just hit adulthood, so maybe they should have a little more leniency. But yeah, bruh, you cannot be giving your whole time, bruh. This is not the word for that. This is not. Who the hell is going to take care of your ass when these people pass away? Who's taking care of your ass? Are you just going to hope that you can play games and fucking listen? If you're that lucky, because apparently people do that. There are some people who play games for a living. That would be a lovely job. It would. It definitely would. But there's disadvantages with almost everything it seems. I don't know. I don't know. Is there really a dream job out there where you would never ever be like, damn, I don't want to work today? Every single time you have to work for that particular job, you're always ready for it? Is there something out there like that? Let me know if there is. But throughout my life, almost 35 years in this world, it's like an exchange. You know what I'm saying? It's like an exchange. That's the best way to put it. But let's continue. We're only going to go a little more further.
Turns out that video games are actually responsible for this in the way that they affect your brain. And this comes down to how video games impact your ability to learn from your mistakes. So when I was in college, I would procrastinate and play video games, and then I'd have a test, and then the day before the test, I'd sort of enter this last minute panic stage of studying, and I'd study, and I'd pass the test, and then I'd be filled with regret. I'd be like, man, if I could have started a day earlier or 3 days earlier, if I had started 4 days earlier, 5 days earlier, I could get an A. And so I should learn my lesson at that point, but I never did. The next test would roll around, I'd wait till the last minute, I'd procrastinate, and I'd end up getting maybe a B, maybe a C. And if I knew if I just worked a little bit harder, I could do so much better. And that's what the experience of a lot of gamers is like in life.
Yeah.
That y'all...
Because they're fucking putting all that time that they could be studying earlier to fucking whooping ass and taking names in World of Warcraft. Some shit. I get it. I totally get it. And it really made me think just a minute ago. I'm like, is that the reason why I procrastinate so bad? From all the time that it's like entrenched in me now? Because waiting till the last minute, goddamn. That should be my middle name. Xavier, wait to the last minute, bam, last name. You know what I'm saying? So, I wonder. I thought that was just me as a person. It says it in my natal chart. You know what I'm saying? So, if I didn't dabble in games or not, or I did, if I didn't dabble in games, that would probably still be a thing, maybe.
Work really hard for brief periods of time, and then you do okay. But if it weren't for this problem of gaming, then you would do so much better. And so what's going on in our brain, and how can we fix this? It turns out that the reason that gamers progress more slowly is because they actually have an XP penalty. And what do I mean from that? It means that their learning circuitry is actually impaired. So our learning circuitry, or the learning part of our brain, is called our hippocampus, which is kind of seated right next to the amygdala. So the hippocampus is what governs learning and memory. And the key thing about how our brains learn is the most primary motivator for learning and changing behavior is actually negative emotion. So if you go to a restaurant like 5 times and you like eating there, the food is delicious, but the 6th time you go, if you get food poisoning, you're never going to go to the restaurant again. And so if we sort of think about how did you learn that lesson through pain and suffering. I've also worked with a ton of people who have struggled with infidelity in marriage. And once that trust is broken, you can be married to someone for 10 years, 15 years. You can trust them a lot. But all it takes is one instance of infidelity for you to learn your lesson. And in some cases, this can be so traumatic that people struggle to trust for the rest of their lives. So that's really powerful learning going on, and it's governed by negative emotional circuitry. So what do video games do? Video games shut off our negative emotional circuitry. So any addictive substance does 2 things. It brings pleasure and it takes away pain. And what video games essentially do is shut off blood flow to places like our amygdala, where we feel fear and panic and anxiety. And since we're shutting off our negative emotions every time we play a video game, which is why we play them, right? Because after you were done with that test and you were like, man, I really need to start studying earlier, what did you end up doing for the rest of the day? You gamed. And the moment that you game, you shut off that negative emotional circuitry and you hamper your learning and start to develop that XP penalty. So what can we do about this? Essentially, the first place to start is to actually be able to sit with negative emotions. We don't need to conquer them. We don't need to fix them. We don't need to process them. They're going to do the work on their own. We just have to not numb them out. So what I strongly recommend to gamers who feel like you've got an XP penalty, if you're not just making progress, what you need to do is spend some time sitting with your emotions. And now gamers may wonder, well, how can I do that? And there's one really simple exercise you can do, is if you've been bearing your emotions for years because you game too much, they're floating right beneath the surface. So all you need to do is give them a neutral space. So the next time you're feeling negative emotion, don't reach for any kind of advice or anything like that. Just sit somewhere or pace for like 5 to 15 minutes. The other thing that you can do is just stare at a wall. So like this is a practice that I've given people. It's been transformative and revolutionary. Stare at a wall for 20 minutes up to an hour. And what's going to happen is as you stare at the wall, like you're going to start by feeling bored. Your mind is going to wander. And then you'll start to notice like negative emotions come up. Frustration, feeling like I'm being inefficient, I'm wasting time, I don't like this. Those are actually all negative emotions. And all you need to do, you don't need to fix them. You just need to be able to feel them and be able to tolerate them. Because the moment that you're able to tolerate them, you don't have to retreat into the video game. If you don't retreat into the video game, the emotional activity in the brain will be restored. If the emotional activity in the brain is restored, it will start working on your negative emotional circuitry. So I want you all to think about why we have emotions for a second. We'll really understand this point. It's like 5,000 years ago, if a human being experienced a negative emotion, like feeling lonely, what could they do to make that emotion go away? That negative emotion would prompt them to engage with other human beings. In the same way that hunger prompts me to eat, that's negative, right? Makes me feel bad. Thirst prompts me to drink. Loneliness prompts me to reach out to other people. That's why we have negative emotions, because they prompt us towards the most important behaviors. Nowadays, we have a very serious problem because when we play a video game, we can make the loneliness go away for a little bit, but it doesn't actually fix any of our problems. So we don't actually progress or improve in our life at all. So we're taking away that negative emotional energy, leading ourselves to literally not learn that XP penalty and also not progress in life. The third thing that video games do that really hamper our progress in life is they do all of the operationalization for us. Now, I gotta explain what that means. So when you play a video game, everything is laid out. There's a main quest, there's a side quest, there's a mini map. All the rules are laid out. You can open up like, the encyclopedia, which gives you the mechanics of the game. Everything is laid out for you. And for the stuff that isn't laid out in the game, there's 1,000 different websites or YouTube tutorials or whatever that they can show you where to stand and what to click and optimizing DPS rotations. All the rules of life are laid out in a video game. And what you should do from start to finish, someone is holding your hand. Real life does not work like that.
No, it does not. No, it does not. He's definitely got a point about that. That's one thing I've even recently started doing in the games that you can do it. But you take off all those map markers, take away the map period. Just like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, for a good example. Because I haven't played the new one. I haven't even played that, the ones with the, I don't know, Valhalla? Yeah, that one. I haven't played that one, and I haven't played the new one in feudal Japan. But in Odyssey, you could take away the map, period, and the compass, and just navigate. Of course, you would have to set some kind of open up the map, the big map, point yourself in the direction where you need to go, and occasionally you kind of guide yourself from there. But after you talk to certain people about what you're trying to do or what kind of quest you're trying to complete, just hearing from them and talking to them, you can figure out what you got to do from there. And that's where I got this optimization kind of part where he's talking about right now. Because no, we don't want to be handheld throughout the whole game. That actually messes up a game nowadays, if you ask me. But some people like that. I don't know why, but there's some category of games where people just want to turn off their brains and just shoot and kill and shoot, or I said shoot twice. It's not a shoot. I meant fight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah. Let's wrap this up.
Versus they have a very particular deficit, which is that they cannot operationalize problems. What that means is that gamers can't take an abstract task, like become financially independent, and break it down into pieces. Why can't they do that? It's because games have been doing this crap for you for so long that literally the circuits in your brain that do this start to atrophy and wither. So if your brain doesn't use a particular functionality, it starts to wither. This is why we forget languages, we forget skills, we forget stories. Anything that we don't continually engage with and lose, just like any muscle in our body, we start to become deconditioned. And so what gamers really struggle with is like moving forward in life because they don't know how to take these like big things that you're supposed to be doing, like be happy. Well, how do you do that? I don't know how to do that. Be financially independent, be successful, find a romantic relationship. And it's like, you're like, where's the quest marker for that? Like, I'm confused. Like, anytime I go to a party and I hang out with people, I don't see an exclamation point in someone that I'm attracted to that I can walk up and then I right click them. And then I'm like, okay, is my reputation high enough? Like, do I need to gift this?
Yo, he's got a good point. Yeah, he's right. He's definitely right. And even some of that I have experienced in my life. I think I kind of expressed that earlier in this video. That yeah, I was a slow bloomer because I think all the time that I put towards games, I put towards games and didn't put it anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? So when it actually came time to deal with real life things, I was kind of stunted in growth with that. But slowly over time, I don't know, man. I want to say for everybody who is in the predicament that this man is talking about, I think you can surpass the qualities that some people have reached without the gaming. If you are one of these people that has been held back in certain areas in life, and then you realize it, and then you put in the work to fix it, you can have better qualities than the average people, you know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. Because again, I never see myself wanting to do videos, talk to people, let people hear my own thoughts and stuff. Even though that you know, that's probably not the best thing all the time. But yeah, man. So this is a very interesting video. I'm sorry we're not going to be able to finish up just what is it? Damn, it's only like less than 5 minutes left. Y'all want to finish the rest of this? Go ahead and do it. We're gonna cut it quits here because I don't know why. Maybe it wasn't charging, period. I mean, my mouse is kind of right next to the charger. Did I plug that shit out by accident? I probably did. Only got 10% left on this thing, so it's about to die unless I plug it in. But I already have the other video I just did that I gotta work on. And now this one, which is goddamn in a whole hour. It's probably already an hour. I don't know. I hope y'all learned something from this. I definitely did. Or just kind of like another perspective. I think most of this stuff I kind of already knew. Yeah, again, as a hardcore gamer in the past, that unfortunately, I guess, work has kind of like took that kind of away from me. And well, not just work, being a father too. Because yeah, when those first words came out from my boy, Dad, can I play the game? Can I play on the computer? Which is the only, you know, my main go-to gaming device. It was a wrap. It was a wrap. So, and anytime I normally get free time, if I'm not in a truck, I'm with them. You know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is. I love y'all though. Again, I hope y'all learned something good from this. I definitely did. And I don't know, take care of yourselves. Think twice about this. If you're one of those hardcore gamers, definitely learn to balance out the time, okay? There's nothing wrong with gaming, just as long as it's in moderation. Same thing that they say about damn near anything, okay? That definitely needs to be put in moderation as well. This way you don't get left behind of the crowd, you know what I'm saying? You want to be ahead of the crowd, if you ask me. But sometimes maybe not. Maybe you want to be in the back peeping what could come up from behind. That's cool too. You know what I'm saying? I think we all need those type of people too. Peace out, y'all.